Your thoracic outlet syndrome keeps coming back because you're stuck in what's called a pain cycle. So what is the pain cycle? The pain cycle is a 6-stage process in which you pretty much get injured either internally or by an external factor. And that sets off a chain reaction and snowball effect that creates more problems down the road. This is why you end up feeling random chronic pain in your 20s, 30s, or maybe your 40s, because all of a sudden you are in the middle of this snowball effect without even realizing it. So with all that said, what are the stages? The first one is going to be tissue damage. This is either through an external factor like getting a cut or getting into an accident, or it could be through micro traumas where you're working out constantly every single day. Or these micro traumas can be created thanks to your day-to-day environment in which you're just overusing some muscles versus others. Now, whenever you get some sort of muscle damage, this usually creates inflammation, which is essentially the body's repair process, right? When you get a cut, let's just say from a knife, and you go to a doctor, what they're going to do is stitch that wound up and basically try to pull those skin together in order to create a healing process. This is stage 3 in the pain cycle, known as muscle spasms. Your muscles and all the tissues around it, like the fascia, will begin to slowly contract, trying to bring those tissues together in order to help the repair process. But when that happens, those tissues that are getting pulled closer together also lose their mobility and their range of motion. They become chronically shortened and tight. This is one of the ways adhesions and trigger points is formed through micro trauma and that inflammation and the muscle spasms, creating all that chronic tension. Now that right there leads to an altered neuromuscular control in the body. What does that mean? It means when one muscle is supposed to be doing the job, muscle A, and it can't do that job anymore because it has limited mobility. That means muscles B and C now have to contribute and do the work for it in order to accomplish that same task. Here's an example. In order to create shoulder flexion, raise the arm up, you need your anterior deltoids to flex, your pec major helps contribute, and even the coracobrachialis underneath. But if you have injuries and those anterior deltoids, the prime movers, get shorn and tight, get those adhesions, and have limited mobility, the next time you try to raise your arm up, the pec major may have to contribute more, or the coracobrachialis may contribute more, or the body may have to compensate in one way or another by you bending your back in order to make up that extra range of motion that you're now limited. Now, when this happens, this now leads to the final stage, a muscle imbalance, in which you now have a compensated pattern in order to do what you used to do back in the day with normal range of motion. So now, as opposed to you just raising your arm up to create that shoulder flexion, you now have to raise that arm up to where it can go to the limited spots, and then maybe bend the back, arch it in order to get that extra mobility, right? All that recycles that pain cycle because now your lower back is doing all that extra work. It is now the muscle. It is doing that extra activity. It becomes overactive and has some sort of micro trauma, micro tears, which restart that inflammation process, muscle spasms, adhesions, and so on. This is how the pain cycle works and how it creates a spiraling effect. And this is also why you are stuck with your thoracic outlet syndrome regardless of the type of treatment you go through. It's because the traditional types of treatments, by doing one treatment at a time, only solves one small portion of this pain cycle. If you're only trying something like physical therapy, that's going to help the factors like the altered neuromuscular control and even the muscle imbalance. But you're ignoring the muscle spasms and the adhesions. Or if you just did massage techniques, right, then now you're focused on the adhesions, the muscle spasms, but you're ignoring the muscle imbalance and the altered muscular control. And plus, when you actually think about this, you also have to do it in the right order. Because if you try to do the muscle imbalance first, well, what created that? What created the altered neuromuscular control? It was the adhesions. It was the muscle spasm. And we have to go back as far as we can in that pain cycle to where we can actually work on the body ourselves without using any sort of external factors, right? We can try to target the inflammation if we wanted to, but that requires pills and other random factors that we may not have the ability to manipulate pretty much. But here we can address the tissue, the adhesions, and we can address the muscle imbalances. But we have to do it in the right order. And when you figure this out, that's when your TOS will actually go away. So what is the actual right steps in order to get rid of your TOS? First off, get rid of those adhesions and get rid of those muscle spasms by performing self-massage techniques on all those different muscles that are probably chronically short and tight, creating those muscle imbalances and altered neuromuscular control to begin with. And there's a good chance here that those same muscles are the same ones creating that compression on your nerves and blood vessels as well. These muscles are usually located in the front of the body. We go through all this in my updated thoracic outlet syndrome program called the Nerve Fix Blueprints. But inside there, I teach you how to release all of those different muscles that have the trigger points. There's like over 20 of them. And I show you how to do it in the right sequence. But then you can't just stop there. If you stop there, then you still have a muscle imbalance you have to address. Otherwise, your pain is going to come back, basically. Long story short, if you don't address both issues, your pain is going to come right back. And that's why after the massage techniques, you need to do the correct mobility drills and exercises to improve your muscle imbalances, improve that neuromuscular control, and it also helps prevent those muscles that get overused. It prevents them, or at least fights them off from becoming overactive and getting those micro tears again. The pain cycle is the reason your TOS pain keeps coming back. It is the reason why one type of treatment doesn't work, and it's the number one reason why you should check out the Nerve Fix Blueprints. Make sure to click on the link in the description below or head over to nervefixblueprint.com to get started now.